Let's get to the biggest issues for the 49ers. The run defense is paramount for me. The 49ers have built this entire team on stopping the run to earn the right to rush the passer. That hasn't really been the case the past 2 weeks. If you want to go back to the Rams game, which doesn't really count, whatever. You can go all the way back to the Ravens Christmas game. That's fine too. It's been an issue. Why? Defensive ends, safety play. It's rough, and it's got to be fixed. That's just all that there is. I'm not trying to like. It's an issue, and so this isn't necessarily going to be the podcast where I'm going to tell you all the solutions. I want to lay it all out there, and we're going to be doing film work to be breaking everything down next week. And right here, JP, man, he stole my idea. He's the freaking man. JP says, "How can we not get torched by Mahomes and Kelsey? A breakdown of that, how we should cover them, bracket coverage, double team, all that stuff. Yeah, that's in the works. We're going to be breaking that down. That's going to be up on the 49ersrush.com, all that stuff. That's where that will be, and I love it. Um, speaking on the run game, this is something I've gotten a lot. Shout out to Mike Garcia. Do you think we see Armstead on the edge? Well, we're not solid at DT either. Now, Javon Kinlaw has been the best defensive tackle for the past month. He's incredible. Um, so I do want him to get more snaps. He only got 22 last week. That needs to jump up. But we've also seen when Javon Kinlaw gets 40 plus snaps, he's not effective. So, whenever you move one position, you sacrifice the effectiveness of another position. That's rough. I wouldn't mind some snaps for Armstead on the edge, but not very many. I'm probably in the minority of this. I think you stay with what got you there. And Chase Young had some issues. He also had some great plays. And Chase Young is also, I think he's like second or third for most solo run stops in the playoffs so far. Like, it's not like it's all bad with Chase. And we saw the same thing happen last year when everybody was talking Javon Kinlaw against the Eagles. And yeah, he had some really poor reps where he just got dominated. But those are the only reps you see. I tried to put out all the reps that he had good in that game, which were several. I'm not saying he had a good game, but he did have several good reps, way over 10 positive reps. Nobody talks about those. And so this is the culture and climate of social media today where, man, oh, you had one bad play. You were terrible. And it's just like, man, for example, you go back to the 49ers Eagles game where we blew them out, right? In Philly. Lane Johnson got one play where, and I think it should have been a holding call, where he put Bosa on the ground. And everybody's like, oh, Lane Johnson dominated him. But you go watch that film, they ruined the Eagles' season, in part because of what Nick Bosa did that game to Jalen Hurts and pressured against Lane Johnson, who's incredible. It's so, like, you know what I mean? Like, I get the over sensibilization that takes place. That's not a word. Of what happens. And I love Armstead, and I'm not the biggest Chase Young guy. I would not try to bring him back personally for what he's going to cost. But at the same time, I think we've gone too far. The hype started too high on Chase Young. You remember right after the trade, after one game, people were on here saying we got to keep Chase Young, trade Brandon Ayuk. Not that the two are mutually exclusive to each other, but the fans were treating it that way. Now we're here saying, oh, get him out. I don't think that he should be playing as much as he is playing, but man, let's just be honest. Like, I think we just stick with what has worked, and we've got a lot more positive tape with this personnel. I don't think anybody understood how important, Cleveland Farrell was. That dude was awesome, and he wasn't flashy, but it was lunch pail type work. Chase Young's not lunch pail type guy. He's flash guy. And you know what else is funny? The best rep that Chase Young had all game was against Penei Sewell, who dominated everybody. Penei Sewell was dominating Fred Warner, Nick Bosa, everybody. His very first snap against Chase Young just dominated him. Like, he is a blue chipper of the bluish chips, right? But just not a lunch pail guy. He's not an effort guy. He's not a hustle guy. He's not going to be that. Hopefully we can get a little bit more a little bit more consistency perhaps out there. And this was one of my issues that I did want to talk about. Thank you, Evan. This was a little bit further down on my list. Ambry Thomas getting benched. He had the ankle issue. He's limited now. Logan Ryan came in for him, which was a shock to almost everybody. He went to the nickel spot instead of Isaiah Oliver. But here's my issue. So the 49ers, their base concept when we're in our 4-3 is Oren Burks is out there. When we go nickel, number 20, Ambry Thomas comes out. Let me just say this as clear as I can. I'm an Oren Burks guy. I love him. He was terrible versus the Lions. God awful. And so it was kind of a pick your poison last week because if we're in base, our number 3 linebacker is getting torched. And also, again, we put this out on the 49ersrush.com if you want to go check it. Every single offensive play, defensive play, special teams broken down for the last 3 years. It's all up there as soon as you sign up. Free trial, by the way. So if you want to binge watch some film, there's no 49ers film game this weekend. Look, go sign up. 7-day free trial. Doesn't cost you a penny. Watch as much of the breakdowns as you can. Then you can cancel. Doesn't cost you anything. If you like it, stick around, support the show. We would really appreciate it. But, every time 48 went into the game, Oren Burks, you'd see the can call. Jared Goff would audible, and they would throw or run right at 48. He was a target for him. Ben Johnson went straight at Oren Burks, and it worked consistently. Oren Burks had a pretty good year, but he's coming back from an injury and hasn't been the same. Ambry Thomas coming off an injury. He's played timid for a month straight, scared to tackle. You go back to Ambry Thomas was on the verge of being cut through training camp. He was a bubble roster guy. He was tough as hell. He was fighting literally. I was at every training camp practice. He was fighting to get into the front line of position drills. He was charging people up on the sidelines. He was straight freaking alpha. You watch the tape, the silent tape now. And so, when somebody looks scared on silent tape, I'm just telling you, that dude has played scared. He has for a few weeks now. And so he's coming off of not one, but back-to-back terrible playoff performances. Made a couple good plays, but overall was very, very poor. Good news is you're playing against probably the worst wide receiving core in the NFL in the Chiefs. Let's just be honest. Now you throw in, Travis Kelce, that's a little bit different. But that's an issue for me too. I don't think you bench him. I do not want Logan Ryan out there over Ambry Thomas. Do not want that. Don't. I'm rolling with Ambry Thomas. But it's been rough. I don't know what else to say. Right here, Steve Brule, love your work, man. Dr. Steve Brule, sorry. How about Kinlaw outside Armstead and base personnel? Doesn't have to worry about pad level. Kinlaw's doing great. I want more snaps for him personally. That's my biggest concern for Kinlaw. 22 snaps. I want him at 35. He is so damn good right now. And think about the Lions versus, right before the half. They're driving, about to run out of time. If they score a touchdown, they go up 21 into half. Instead, we force that field goal. All Javon Kinlaw. Hargrave got owned. Worst game I've ever seen Hargrave have. Not in 49ers tenure, in his entire career. Against a backup left guard. He was off of it. He just had a bad game. I'm just going to chop it up to that. They pull Hargrave out, put Kinlaw in for 2 plays. Kinlaw makes 2 plays. They pull him out, and then they almost get up a touchdown. But if not for Kinlaw, we're down 21 at the half. He single-handedly ended that drive. Oh, man. Whew. Not going to lie. I get Kinlaw's received a lot of criticism, and rightfully so. Did he live up to being DeForest Buckner? No. That's not a fair expectation. There's 3 dudes better than DeForest Buckner in the world. It was never fair. But I'm telling you right now, 49ers are not in the Super Bowl without Javon Kinlaw. And I am excited to see what he's going to do.
The 49ers Rush Podcast.